Everybody. It is I, working hard, working on Dengar here, having fun with it. I think what I'm going to do work today is just work on this smoke behind him. So that way I can get a good idea of what's going on here with the background. That way, how the background turns out will help with him. So plus also, I can work on the class on this and just talk to you guys, and I don't really have to do much thinking. So you guys can get a nice. I mean, and you really take a look at it, it's one of those it's like, oh, that's really exciting. But no, you really take a look at it. I mean, right off the bat, you can see where it's creating that atmospheric texture, and you're getting that wispy sense to it. So, I want to talk a little bit more again about Camelot. First and foremost, I was blown away. Here, the first comment I had on the video that I posted yesterday was actually from Camelot and thanked me for explaining the whole points issue and how that's the reason why he didn't make the race. Which, like I said yesterday, that just sucks. But like I said, it was like I was like, as I started to think about it, I'm like, yeah, NASCAR's getting that big that I mean they are the big teams like Joe Gibbs Racing, RCR, they're going to get to the point where they have the teams going down. In fact, someone last night in the chat said how like the Petty Motorsports has gone as far as they've got sponsorship and having teams all the way down to the modified series. So I mean, yeah. So I mean, you're going to have. Fortunately, that just means that I mean, as a casual fan, it's like, oh, the ARCA series, that's like bottom tier. But I mean, no, you still got the big teams. Still, they look at needing to have or the importance of having uh, a representation at that level to develop their drivers and to really see if this young talent has what it takes to move up. In fact, I remember uh, one of the gentlemen that was interviewed uh, on Friday night. He's in the Xfinity series now, but last year he was in the ARCA series. So you can see where they really do utilize it as a proving ground. And if a driver does well at the ARCA, they'll get immediately bumped up to one of the higher tiers. So now the next race for Camelot is it's called Five Flags. Okay. Now here's the importance. Okay. Five is ARCA has two divisions. They've got the ARCA West division and they got the ARCA East division. And the first race Daytona and the second race, uh, uh, Phoenix. Both series are combined. After Phoenix, the series split, and you have the West series, which is primarily in it's primarily completely in California. There's like one or two like up in like Washington or Portland, but overall, as a whole, all of West races are in California. And then you have the East series. Well, the significance of this is that not all of the ARCA teams do both series. Okay, so you'll have some cars that are just West series and some cars that are just East series. As Camelot has explained, he's going to be doing just the East series. So the next race is going to be at uh, Five Flags, and there should not. Okay, let's clarify. There shouldn't be as many cars there as what was at Phoenix or at Daytona. So the odds of him making Five Flags are very good. This means that if he takes the field, if he races, he gets in and he starts the race, okay? If he just starts the race, okay, let's say he starts the race and 5 laps in, his engine blows, okay, he still gets points for being in the race, even if it's a DNF, and the car gets owner's points, okay? This is the important thing, okay? Him having points is one thing. The important thing is having owner points. That is what's going to determine moving forward when he goes to some of these other bigger races, if he gets in or not, is because he has owner points. Now, I don't know how ARCA East and ARCA West do the point system when they've got a series of races separate from one another and then they're together. I don't know how that works, but the important thing is he's going to have owners points. That's going to help him moving forward with. Let's say again, he scores. He time trials, and he's 35th, and another car has doesn't do as well. He has owners points that he won't. They'll prevent him from being bumped from the race. Okay. I had completely forgotten about that until I started really, like, once I realized what was going on in Phoenix, it really just got the gears grinding. What I remember about how the point system works with NASCAR, and so this is going to be important for him moving forward. Now, what sucks and what actually hinders him, and this is not this is completely out of his control. Okay, is in the East Series. From what I saw, there's 8 races in the East Series total. Um, but 5 of them are combined of the East and the West. So there are races coming. There are going to be races coming up where there's a possibility he might still get bumped. Uh, Dover, which is one of the races he really wants to make, there's a possibility he could get bumped from that Dover race if he doesn't have enough owners points. So him going to 5 flags and doing well at 5 flags is going to be big for him in earning owners points to avoid this bump issue moving forward. After Dover, it's Nashville and then Flat Rock. Again, these are 2 smaller tracks. They're East Coast races, and they're not part of the West Coast series. So he can really, if he does well, again, earns more points, keeps him from getting bumped when he goes into like the Lucas Oil Field in Indiana and the Milwaukee Mile and then Bristol. Now, with the whole thing with the crowdfunding for the Cyberfrog rap, okay, if let's say he doesn't get, he gets, because of owners' points, he gets bumped from Dover, okay, he can still reuse that car at another race. I am sure if he doesn't make Dover, he's going to try to do something so he can at least race that car with the wrap at another big race. Okay, because I know, uh, first of all, getting that car into the race with the wrap is going to be a big deal because remember, NASCAR is a visual sport. Okay, so if he's running, let's say he's slowly moving up through the field, and they're doing a there, and then they put the camera on him. They're like, and this is Cody Denning. He's slowly making his way up the field. He has a very unique uh, sponsorship. It was crowdfunded by a bunch of fans, using, and it's this Ethan Van Sciver's Cyber. Yeah, it's a comic book. Can you believe this, folks? I mean, you want to get, yes, you definitely want to try. Hopefully, it gets in at Talladega. Again, it all comes down to the car counts, and there are some teams that they only have so much money that by the time Talladega hits, they may not be able to go because they don't have money. Okay, um, uh, and then okay, again, we talk car points. from the remarks Camelot has made, okay, from the remarks he's made, he has a different owner for Talladega than the owner he has now. Okay, that hurts him. That hurts him because he's got to get in on time at Talladega, whereas at these other races with a different owner, so you got owner A, owner B. Okay, owner A is the owner of the car for Phoenix and for uh, Five Flags, Nashville. Okay, that's owner A. If I'm understanding it correctly, he's going to have an owner B for Talladega. Okay, I don't know if that owner has been in any races at all this year or not. That's going to be dependent on whether he has to race his way in and do great to get into the show, or whether uh, he gets bumped because he doesn't have owner's points. But moving forward with the exact same team, he needs that to do well, because that way that car owner has the points to keep him locked in for other shows. Okay, so it's I know it's one of those where it's like I'm probably explaining more than you ever anticipated to ever learn when it comes to uh, NASCAR and whatnot. But I mean, this is the way it is. I mean, it's you deal with a lot of different stuff. That's not just get in a car and run around in circles. All this other stuff that I'd forgotten about is uh, part of the deal. Now, if Camelot has the sponsorship and the funds to get through this year, okay? If he has the money and sponsorship to get through this year, and he's able to stay with the same team, next year at Daytona, he has those owners' points to fall back on to get into the race. If it's with the same spot, it's with the same owner. After Daytona, points go back to that year, and they don't use any of the previous year's points. So, again, I'm hoping this makes sense to you. For me, is one of those where it's like I had it explained to me from the uh, radio broadcasts and TV broadcasts to really get a grasp and understand about what was going on. So, if I'm not doing if you have questions, if I need to give a further explanation for anything that I'm explaining, feel free to ask me in the comments. I will do the best of my ability. I know that there have been a couple people that, not understanding why I got in the race in Phoenix, commented on yesterday's video when they started to get an understanding of what I was talking about. I'll be happy to understand you, to explain. And when I do explain stuff, don't be surprised if I use comic book analogies, because I'm a comic book guy. Primarily, my videos are involved about comics. So, um, going ahead on this real quick because I wanted to, and I actually wanted to spend more on this topic, but uh, giving a detailed explanation to the best of my ability about Camelot and how ARCA and NASCAR works. It seemed important to go into detail. Uh, there was a video, an interview done with Graham and Anna on Anna's channel this week, and it was a very, very good interview. Um, uh, Graham and Anna, they have a great rapport, so they really are able to really like get in there. You can tell in how they communicate to each other. Uh, that helps. That when you get a good rapport with the creator, uh, they immediately, there's no awkward silences. There's no like awkwardness trying to explain something. Both of those two, when she was explaining something, or when she was giving an explanation for something, he would feed off of it. When he was explaining something, her energy and understanding it was feeding off. Especially when Graham would be going, how it's like, no, that movie probably was in 1960s. She's like, no, I don't want to believe that. They had better special effects in the '60s than that. They had to have. And I just found it very, very entertaining the way she would be like, no, no, that can't be true. Like he was like dashing her dreams and whatnot. It was very entertaining. I enjoyed it immensely. Uh, the, I will tell you right now, if you go and you watch that video, uh, it's a 2.5 hour show, but it goes by fast. I remember when I was watching, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch this," and then when I'm done, I'll flip over to Billy Tucci's Thursday night show, and he's got a, I think it's Angela Rathrock. She's a well renowned uh, stunt person from all the B movies, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna check that out." By the time Graham and Anna got done, Billy Tucci's show was over, and I was like, "What? Oh my god! I didn't even realize that they had been on for that long a period of time." So I really did, like I said, I really enjoyed the interview between them. Uh, really, and especially when they started talking about, like when Anna gave her Star Wars origin story, it made me chuckle. I liked it a lot. It reminded me of like my origin story is first time I went to see Star Wars was actually in the theaters when it first came out in 1977. And here my father uh, had read the times wrong, so we got there and the movie had already started. My first my first experience with Star Wars was the Tusken Raider beating up Luke. So that was my very first experience with Star Wars, and like just the action, and then right off the bat, first of all, you got this guy in this with these like little eye lenses and wrapped up in a cloth, beating up this kid, and he's in a robe, and right after that, oh what there's what's this robot thing going? What's this robot guy? And meeting R2D2 for the first time that way when he's hiding behind the rocks and oh, and all the bleeps and bloops and the sad bleeps and bloops because Luke's gotten beat up. I mean, again, I was just like that was like I was like, oh my god, what is this I'm watching? And then going straight from that into uh, just from that scene right to the Death Star, then straight into the Cantina scene. I mean, there was like I was being. I didn't get to see the beginning, but still, I knew I was already hooked, and I hadn't even seen the full movie yet. So I really enjoyed that. I was hooked right there and then, and how like she was always like how her like when she'd be like she was like I'm Star Wars. Now she'd be like screaming at the TV. I'm not allowed to like this. I'm a traitor to Star Wars. It's funny. It's like after I because my first experience was with science fiction with Star Wars, uh, never got into the original series, and when the next generation started, and I never really got into the movies at first. It wasn't until years later I actually started. Uh, one gave the Star Trek movies a chance. Um, But my first when I when they started the TV series, Next Generation, I remember like watching it, not having a lot of enthusiasm for it. Primarily, I didn't have any enthusiasm for it because of the fact that it wasn't for me. It was boring. It wasn't visually stimulating, and thing was, only reason why I was watching it was because it's the only science fiction that was on TV. And it really wasn't until like I want to say like season 4 that they really started to get interesting and entertaining for me. So it was so when I hear like how like her reasoning for like how like she resisted against Star Trek for the longest time, and then she started watching and how like she's like they'll be talking like what the city, the edge of tomorrow. But just by the way they're explaining it, I think that's the one with Joan Crawford. I've seen that one maybe 4 or 5 times, and it's one of those where it's like, okay, this is the episode that everybody says is so great, but I'm like, okay, 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 if this is the greatest episode, okay, But of course, Star Trek fans are so vivacious. It's one of those where you just keep your mouth shut. You know, you're not gonna. There is no reasoning to explain why you don't like it because you know they're gonna be, no, it's so good and this, that, and the other thing. And actually listening to Anna and how she picked apart Edge of Tomorrow and how watching as a kid going, this is so stupid. Why doesn't he just take her with her, take her with him? It's kind of like, yeah, that makes more sense, you know. But I mean, I understand the point of it of her having to die. But again, I look at it and was like, I just never got into the original series. Uh, I can look back and now respect 2, 3, and 4, and 5 is garbage. 6, I can see how they try to use 6 as a nice little send off and connect all your dots together. So, but no, so I mean, I enjoyed the interaction between the two of them. It made me so, like I said, when you get a good interview like that between Anna and Graham, you start thinking, you start almost having a conversation with them, even if they can't hear you, of saying what your interaction, what your experience is, and comparing it to what they're saying. So, but no, it was. I would definitely advise you guys to check it out. I thought. Uh, I'm not a huge fan of Anna. It's nothing against her, but when she gets a good guest on, she really provides a really good interview. She's and with that type of scenario with Graham, she was very respectful. Another thing also, which I really liked, was she was saying she filed such good stuff. How she the Nightfall series with John, the guy who replaced Batman, and how it got so bad how she couldn't even finish it. And it's like, yeah, I remember when that happened when it was coming out as a monthly, and they're making it such a big deal. I'm like, nah, I never got it. In fact, it's only now when I go through back issue bins and I sometimes see those issues. If it's a Detective Comics issue by Graham, I'll pick it up. But I never associated Graham with Bane because I wasn't a Batman fan. So, and her actually saying how she didn't like it and she uh, she failed to finish reading it. I like that because this one's like, okay, it's not just me. The Fall of Batman with Bane and whatnot, while it's good, it just I didn't really care for it. And pretty much about the same time is when they did the Death of Superman. And the Death of Superman, they did such a great job with it because they had 4 Superman books and they replaced Clark Superman with 4 different versions of Superman. One being the clone Superboy, one the Eradicator, the cyborg Superman. Or no, there was Eradicator was the essence of Krypton from the Fortress of Solitude. Then you had the cyborg Superman, and then you had John Henry in the Iron Man steel outfit. And those books were so good. It's one of those, like, I personally feel that they brought back Superman too soon. That the books were so strong, they should have kept Superman dead for an additional 6 months longer. And you really would have had everybody thinking that, yeah, Superman really is dead. He's not coming back. And that would have made, when they did bring him back, so much more of a surprise. So, but no, so her saying that about the Nightfall series, the Night Quest series, I like that because it's one of those where it's like, yep, I know exactly what you're saying, girl. I hear you. You're absolutely right. So I enjoyed that immensely. So okay, guys, I'm about to finish this up, and then I'm gonna get working on my other piece. So when you see me next Saturday when I do my video, I'll be picking up right where I left off with this piece. So you'll be able to see all of the progress with my videos. Remember, yesterday, that was the first video in the series of working on Dengar. So, guys, I want you all to have a great day. Remember, life is indeed stressful, but remember, all you have to do is take life one dot at a time.